This passage for meditation we took from Luke 14:28 to 34. There are two parables, one allegory here. Parable of the builder, parable of the king going for war, the allegory of salt. To understand this parable, the background need to be known. Background is almost the whole chapter. We'll begin with verse 1, 14:1. You can begin here.
One Sabbath, when Jesus went to eat in the house of a prominent Pharisee, he was being carefully watched.
Okay. It begins with the feast. And the whole teaching depends connected with feasting. He began to tell. There was a miracle also happening. After that, he tell people how to go and sit for a feast. Don't take up the first seat, go and sit in the back. Then he tells the owner of the house how to invite people for a feast. Then he describes one sentence, 13th verse.
So when you give a banquet, invite the poor, helpless, the lame, and the blind. You will be blessed.
Well, how? 14.
Although they cannot repay you, you will be repaid at the resurrection of the righteous.
You will be repaid at the resurrection of the righteous. There were many sitting with him at the table. One of them sitting at the table, when he heard about resurrection, he's not a Sadducee, he's a Pharisee probably. Sadducees don't believe in resurrection. Next verse, 15.
And one of those who were reclining at the table with him heard this. He said to him, "Blessed is everyone who will eat bread in the kingdom of God."
Oh. Suppose we were sitting there and he was telling, you will be repaid at the resurrection of the righteous. Yes, Lord, what a blessed thing to be with you in heaven. So what was he expressing? Probably his desire. What a blessed thing to be in heaven. To be in heaven. A good desire. All the religious people desire to go to heaven. Don't they? Will they? Will they? Why? Why they won't go? Pardon? There is only one way. If you have a desire, will it not happen? Pardon? Desire is not allowed. If a Christian has a desire, will it happen? What was the reply given by Jesus Christ to this man who had a desire? 24th verse, next verse.
No one of those who were invited will get a taste of my
Uh-huh. What a reply. None of those who are invited will ever taste of my son. You are telling him, I will come to your house in the evening. He says, you will not come anywhere near my step even. It's like a slap on the face. If we are expressing the desire to go to heaven, and the Lord tells, you will not even taste of my supper, how will it be? If you don't understand the passage, there will be no difficulty. If you understand, there will be difficulty. Like a patient comes from the village, you examine and tell him you have leukemia, He will say, sir, and matra kudunga. He doesn't have any problem. 13th chapter, 23.
Someone asked him, Lord, will only a few be saved?
It's a man is coming and asking, only few be saved. What's the reply the Lord gave?
Make every effort to enter through the narrow road, because many, I tell you, will try to enter and will not be able to.
What answer is giving? Many will try to enter, but will not be able to enter. When you listen to these passages, is there a difficulty? No disturbance. You are joining the college, first year, 100 students. The principal calls all of you and tells, for the last 7 years, from each batch, only 2 people have passed. What will you say?
The next period,
Sir, TC udukringla poidu. Otherwise, from day number 1, you will start studying. What's the reply he gave? Read it. Make every effort to enter through the... Then?
Because many, I tell you, will try to enter and will not be able to.
Does it not produce any difficulty for us? The Lord who came to save us is telling very clearly, many will try to enter and will not be able to enter. In the 14th chapter he says, many will be invited, but they are not going to taste the sap. If you just go through the New Testament, casually go through that, you will find at least 50 verses easily which tells who will not enter the kingdom of God. Why I am telling this? Noah's time, there were millions of people. How many years the warning was given? 120 years. How many were saved? 8. Out of the many millions, 8 were saved. One family. In Sodom and Gomorrah, all around the cities, or other cities also, there would have been millions of people. How many were saved? Half a family. From Egypt, 6,28,000 adults above 20 were there. How many entered? There were many millions in the land of Israel, and when the anger of the Lord was manifested against them, most of them were killed there, rest of them were taken captive. Finally, after 70 years, when the remnant returned, the remnant were only 40,000. Out of the many, many millions, 40,000. In the time of Jesus Christ, the Lord very clearly, repeatedly says, many are called, few are chosen. Many, I tell you, will be coming before me and telling, but I will tell them I never knew them. Many. Here we read, many will try to enter and will not be able to enter. Paul writes, many walk as the enemies of the cross of Christ. This expression you can pick up many times. Then you come to Revelation, first century, 7 churches. Only one church escapes correction. 7 churches out of 7, 1. 6 churches have already developed problems. I will remove a lampstand, Ephesus. I was reading, Ephesus church soon disappeared. Soon disappeared, Church of Ephesus. I will spew out Laodicean church. Now, in Revelation you see a picture around the throne, a crowd, a number that could not be numbered in white robe. Immediately our happiness is, I'll be in that crowd. But that crowd was gathered from day number 1. In each generation, there were only picked up people. Each generation. Now, in our generation, how many are earnestly following you? The casual attitude will not take us anywhere. When He gave His only begotten Son to save us, what attitude we have toward the salvation prepared for us? Hebrews, we are warned, if we neglect such a great salvation, how will we escape the wrath of God? I think now there is such a casual attitude toward the salvation prepared by God. Whether it is familiarity which breeds contempt, or the way it is presented to us produces the problem. I'm afraid that now it is very cheap gospel is present. Suitable for anyone in any way, that kind of. So that's why we are studying the Word of God to see what He is telling. So remember these things. The Lord Himself said, when I come back, when I return, will I find faith on the face of earth? The love of many will cool down. And the number of warnings the Lord has given in one chapter of 13th chapter of Mark's Gospel, if you carefully read, you will find at least 13 warnings. When the Lord Himself is giving that many warnings, suppose the police are going around and announcing there is a tiger running around, every one of us will be careful. One warning. But the Lord is warning, be on your guard, be on your alert, watch and pray, be careful, the enemy is prowling. Okay, it's all right. I am safe. So we come back to this parable and this portion. The man said that what a blessing it is to be. He expressed his desire. What is the expense for a desire? Nothing. The cheapest thing in the world is to have desires. No expense, any desire you can have. What happened to your desires? They remain as desires. How long you have it? Many, many years. Similar is another word called decision. Both are hanging in the air. Till it becomes a reality, there is no meaning in this decision. In a church, a preacher was called from outside. He was preaching. At the end of it, he gave an altar call. 15 or 20 people got up and surrendered their life. The preacher was talking with the pastor of the church during dinner time. What kind of church you have? So many people have. Pastor said they are the one who regularly get up. What happened to your decisions? Desire and decisions, till it becomes a reality, is a deception. Is a very nice way of deceiving yourself and others. Like the preacher was deceived. Now, when you talk about your decision, bracket you must tell, this is the 15th decision I am making. When you talk about a desire, bracket you say, for the last 5 years I have desired. You have lent monies to someone, you are asking. Tomorrow I will give it. For the past 5 years he has been telling. Somebody proposed to you and said, I decided to marry you 5 years. What will happen? There is no meaning in that. Every time we get up and sing, I have decided to follow Jesus. And sitting at the same place. William Booth made a statement, the way to hell is paved with good intentions. You can talk about your desire and decisions and go to hell. Do not deceive yourself and others by this. Both are needed, but it's not an end in itself. So when this man expressed his desire, he told him a parable. 16 and 17. Luke 14, 16 and 17.
Jesus replied, a certain man was preparing a great banquet and invited many guests. At the time of the banquet, he sent his servant to tell those who had been invited, come, for everything is now ready.
Okay. What does this feast represent in the parable? This is another parable. What does it represent? Kingdom of God is not prepared, it is already there. Now what is prepared? Finished. What is all prepared? Pardon? Salvation. Salvation of God. Salvation by God. It's prepared. He told that parable to whom? Read that verse and see, 16th verse. Him. Remember, most of the teachings of Jesus Christ are to individuals. That means when you read Bible, do not read it for others, read it for yourself. Do not read it for others. It's very good for that person. No. It's for you. Preachers have a difficulty. They read Bible for others only. (16 and 17). How many times they were invited for the feast? 16 and 17. Two times. They were invited twice. Did they all agree to come at the first invitation? Yes? Yes. They all agreed to come at the first invitation. That's why the feast is ready. There is a gap between the first and second invitation. The problem started at the second invitation. What is this for us? All of us sitting here, one day, many years back, clearly decided to follow Jesus Christ. Is not? What's your second invitation? Your practical life. Practical life. What? Now you are stuck. What is the practical life that is creating problem? Now my work. Oh, brother, I never thought the work will be so demanding. What else? I got married. I never knew that so many responsibilities will be there. Then I bought a dog. After that I cannot go out anywhere. Or is it your car? I don't know. What's causing? After I got the laptop, there is no time for anything else. Mobile, no time. Or I ordered newspaper. Now I have no time. Something has crept in. One day decided, now practical life is stuck. This is our story. This is our story. So you can see where you are stuck. 18th verse.
But without exception, they all began to make excuses. The first one said to him, I have bought a field, and I must go out and see it. I ask you to excuse me.
So the first excuse is land. Why do we buy land? After building house, why do you buy again? Investment. For what? Future what? Security. It's called possessions. It can be anything. The Lord uses a part called land. Who needs security? What do you call that? Insecurity. Insecure people need security. We have hundreds of security. It may be Doberman or Watchman. Anything, all create security. Second one, 19th verse.
And another said, I have got 5 yoke of oxen, and I go through them. I pray thee, have me excuse.
Okay. How many oxen? How many oxen? 10. 10 oxen. In Tamil Nadu, the worth of a man is measured by what? In a village? Number of heads. Cow. Ettana urupadi. It's the same thing there also. North also it's the same. So it shows what? No. His status. Did he come in a BMW or Maruti? That's it. 5. Kings were, their worth or status was shown by the number of horses before their chariot. 10 horses. Position. Who needs to build up status? Inferiority. Those who are very, very feeling inferiority, they will have a long mustache. What's the third one? Next verse.
Still another said, I just got married, so I can't come.
Marriage. Think of this gentleman. First he said, I will come. In between he got married. Now on the day of feast he told his wife, I think, my dear wife, there is a feast, shall we go? I am not coming anywhere. Then he had to now say, if you are not going, I am not going, otherwise there will be a lot of problem. So what is it called? Social obligations. Pleasing people. He may have dinner, but we will not have breakfast next day. So, who needs people around them? Lonely people. You have to please people to have them around. What are these 3 problems which we studied? Insecurity, inferiority, loneliness. Whose problem? Separated man. Okay? What are they trying to do, these 3 things? Self-salvation. What did they lose? Salvation of God they lost. Which verse comes to your mind? Luke 9:24, first half. Yes. Whoever wants to save his life will lose it. Lose what? Lose what? Salvation of God. Now, look at these people. Because they did not go for the feast, Were they starving at home? Why? Why they were not starving? They had food. So, 25th verse, 9:25. Luke 9:25.
What good is it for a man to gain the whole world and yet lose or forfeit his very self?
These people, listen please, these people, because they did not go for the feast, they didn't lack anything. Were they successful people? Yes? Yes. They were very successful people. They had everything. They had food. They had sufficient. But what did they lose? Relationship with God. He had gained the whole world, but have lost their soul. So what? I am successful. I am successful. I have my land security, I have my people around me, I am well known. So what? The physicians make fun of surgeons. Operation was successful. So what? Operation was successful, no? I am very successful. What are we aiming in life? Success or salvation? What is driving us now? What is driving? What's the one word which drives you? Success. There are two other words associated with it. Achievement, measured by efficiency, or efficiency measured by your achievements. This decides relationships today. If suppose you have 3 children, which child is a good child? School-going children. Which child is a good child? Good marks. The relationship with the child is decided on mark. If the mark is less for the next child, useless child, idiot. Yes? Who is a good husband? You know it. Who is a good husband? Who brings home lot of money. The day you don't bring any money, wife and children will say, what? Bhayamargilya. Who is a good wife? She is very efficient. If I bring 10 people, she cooks immediately. Or the dowry she brought, if you still think of dowry. Or a salary now. If she is bedridden, a newly married couple, only 6 months, husband, they were going in a bullock cart. He fell from the bullock cart. It ran over his neck. He became quadriplegic. He was admitted in a hospital. Few weeks later, the wife came and asked the doctor, "Can you give him an injection to kill him?" சாவூசி போடுவீங்களா? Useless. Useless. It's all measured on that. It's all measured on that. This is the fear we have. I will be not wanted. Relationship is maintained on that. We have a doctor who had an accident. She is bedridden for the last 14 years, in coma, tube fed. But the children, both boys, are fond of her. Take care of her. If you are bedridden, quadriplegic, all bed sores, tube fed, bad smell, nobody wants to come near you. Nobody loves you. Will God still love you? Yes? Yes? Sure? God answers no prayers. Not a single prayer is answered. Will you love God? Why do we love Him? What I get. Oh, what a love. If family, 2 boys, father was working abroad. After 4 years, he was returning home. When the car stopped in front of the house, 2 boys were excited. Went and Daddy! Opened the dicky, took the 2 suitcases, went in, opened the suitcase. There was only dress. Okay. Why did he come? ஏன்பா வந்த? Is relationship today on these things? Yes, that's all. It has been reduced. This is the result of this running after these things. 34, even before that, MBAs are thrown out of the firms. You are not very efficient. You got married. You cannot give all your time here. Now this fear has come into people. I'll be excluded, thrown out. This group is increasing now because everything is measured on your performance. Where is relationship now? There's one psychiatrist said like this: highly efficient people are seldom loving people. Very loving people are dysfunctional. Very loving people are dysfunctional. I had my mentor, if he opens a suitcase, his suitcase, when he comes from travel, he cannot pack it back, repack it. Many things will be outside. Somebody has to help him to pack it. That inefficient he is. But he is a man who loves people. Loves people. He listens to people. He has said something, many days later he can tell verbatim what you spoke. He listens because he cares. I can tell of him, he not only imparted the gospel, but his life to us. Yes, please don't build your relationships on success, efficiency, and achievements. Somebody asked me, can both be combined? A loving person and an efficient person. If it is so, try that. By many counts, Jesus Christ was not a very efficient person. His trainees, disciples ran off. There was no peer for them, no Bible college for them. They never had a degree. But all of them were very, very loving people. To that point, they all gave their life to others who loved. Yes. Now, when Jesus Christ said all these things, they would have thought, who will? Then he said, these are not three problems in three different people. It's a problem in every person. Every person has all the three problems. So he told, now to that man, because you have all these three problems, you will not even taste my supper. You will not even taste of my supper. Is he telling us? Listen to it. It's not for someone else, it's for each one of us. Do you have all these three problems? Are you trying to solve these problems? We will be stuck there. We'll be stuck with these things. We will have no time for anything else. Do you know how the thorns grow? How the path formed? How the stones came? That we are not able to listen? This is. Certain patterns are formed in life. Now you say, what can I do? Yes, the crowd was going, Jesus Christ was going with them. 25th verse. Luke 14:25.
No great crowds were traveling with him, so he turned and said to them.
Yes. Now, the crowd was there. The man who was sitting with him and expressed the desire also would have been there. 26th verse. Yes.
If anyone comes to me and does not hate his father and mother, his wife and children, his brothers and sisters, yes, even his own life, he cannot be my disciple.
He was giving an answer for the problem. The problems that were mentioned. Which problem was answered now? 1, 2, 3. Third problem, marriage. Pleasing people. What is the answer? Read that again, please. Yes. Who is not included in the list? One group is missing. Who is that? Wives tell, who is not included? Husbands are not included. Why? He was talking to the husbands. So don't think that husbands are excluded. Okay. Hate. A very powerful word. Hate. Then immediately we will tell, Lord, ask the Lord, Lord, last week only you taught us, honor your father and mother, love your neighbor as you love yourself. Now what are you telling? Hate. What is this hatred? Before your marriage, if somebody was telling you to do something, you will tell, let me ask my dad. Is not? Now your dad is coming and telling you, do this way. What will you tell? Paranjo? Got a badia. Let me ask my husband. Father will say, ഞങ്ങളെയൊക്കെ മറന്നോടി നീ. Why? Did you forget? No. They may even feel you don't obey me now. Feel as if hating. Why? Now your husband is telling something. You are telling, പ്രാർത്ഥിച്ചേച്ച് പറയാം. Will you become angry? Never become angry. That's the right thing to do. But you may become angry. What's the problem now? In decision making, who was the sender earlier? Me and my family. Me and my family. Now, when the sender becomes Jesus Christ, you will feel that get up in the morning. You will hate yourself also, no? I can't do what I want. No. The center of decision making, when Jesus Christ becomes the center, you will feel that everyone is hating. Everyone will feel that. You will feel that. I can't do what I want. Yes. Now, something you are going to do is right thing, not wrong. Can you do that? It's a right thing. Making stone into bread, was it right or wrong? Right. But why did not the Lord do it? It was not Father's will. When it was will of the Father, He converted bread into bread. More bread. Something is good, not bad. Can you do that? It's good. The fruit in the garden was good to look at. But why you should not eat it? It's not Father's will. So Christian cannot decide on right and wrong, good and bad alone. It must be every good thing you cannot do. Every right thing you cannot do. It must be God's will. In your place of work, there may be another need. To go and help there is right. But why can't you do that? If you're working in some place, suddenly you found that there's no one in canteen. You're helping in the canteen. You may be dismissed from the work. Why? That is not your boss's will. Can I do what? Go and fulfill some needs? No. I must know whether I am sent. If you study John's Gospel, one word about Jesus Christ that comes repeatedly is, He knew the word, I am sent. It's about 50 times you will read that verse. He knew something, I am sent. So he always asked, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? If a soldier at wartime is not doing what he is asked to do and does something on his own, he may be court-martialed. He cannot do. So, if you are pleasing people, Galatians chapter 1 verse 10.
How hasty am not trying to be the approval of people, but of God. If pleasing people are my goal, I will not be Christ.
I will not be.
Christ,
So, the problem of pleasing people is overcome by serving only one person. Now you may ask, that we'll take later if possible, how will I know the will of God? How will I know the will of God? How many of you want to know the will of God? Or, where do you want to know the will of God? Pardon? So earnest, no, I want to know the will of God. What have we done with all the revealed will so far? Whenever you studied Bible, what have you done with the will? Put it under the carpet. Then, what is your will, Lord? நீங்கள் என்ன சொன்னாலும் அவள் கேட்க மாட்டான்னு வச்சுக்கோங்க. வந்து கேட்குறேன், நான் என்ன செய்யணும் இன்னைக்கு? ஊட்டலாம் சொல்லி Yes. Then he was going with the crowd. He was telling 33, verse 33. 14:33.
In the same way, any of you who does not give up everything, cannot be my disciple.
Read it again, please.
In the same way, any of you who does not give up everything he has, cannot be my disciple.
For which problem he gives answer now? 1, 2. Which one? One. Possession. All that you possess, if you do not give up your possessions, what is he telling? See, he has kept his mobile here. I take it and go home. What do you call that? Stealing. If I am caught with stolen property, what should I do? Simple. Return to the owner. Return to the owner. Agreed? Stolen property must be returned to the owner. All that you have is given by whom? Say it loudly. Now what are you telling? It is mine. What do you call that? Stealing. So what should you do with the stolen property? Otherwise you cannot follow him. First thing to do is return everything to the owner. In Christian life, there is no ownership. You only steward. Stewardship in Christianity is without ownership. Stewardship in Christianity is without ownership. If you are working in a bank, you may handle many crores of rupees in a day. How much you can take and go home? Little bit.
No, I should pay back if the account is by any chance.
Now, how much you can take back? No. You cannot take even a paisa. At the end of the month, The manager will give you a salary, you can take it and go. No?
Yes.
You're only a cashier there, steward. If God is trusting and giving in your hand every month 1 lakh, how much you can take from that? Oh. As a cashier, he gave into your hand 1 lakh every month. How much you can take? Whatever he has permitted, you can take. Rest belongs to. But what we do is, we take everything and sustenance allowance 10%. ஒன்றும் இல்லாமல் இருக்கு பாவம் பிடிச்சிக்க பார்த்து. In what kindness we have, mercy toward God. Everything belongs to whom? The silver and gold is mine. The cattle on the 1,000 hills is mine, are mine. The earth and its fullness is mine. Now how do we have ownership there? Now you say tomorrow to this Mr. Matthew there, Pastor Matthew, this is my place. Stay here and see. I've been staying here for 4 days, now it is mine. So, remember this, there is no ownership. First thing to learn is hand over everything to the right owner. It was warned to the people of Israel before they entered land of Canaan. Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 12 and 13.
Otherwise, when you eat and are satisfied, when you build fine houses and settle down, and when your eggs and flocks grow large, and your silver and gold increase, and all you have is multiplied,
Okay.
then your heart will become proud.
See, everything you have slowly multiplies. 10 years back, what you had has naturally multiplied. You would have not had a car at that time, now you have a car. Maybe 2 cars by now. You didn't have a house, now you may have a house. Your bank balance has increased. Everything multiplies. What will happen at that time? 17 and 18, next person.
You may say to yourself, my power and strength of my hands have produced this wealth for me. But remember the Lord your God, for it is He who gives you the ability to produce wealth, and so confirms His covenant which He swore to your forefathers as it is today.
When you didn't have a job, you were praying for a job. When you got a job, what you said? Thank you, Lord, for giving me a... What did you do with the first salary? Some of you would have gone and gave it to the church, first salary. God gave the salary. Next month onwards, you said, my salary. Now it is my job and my salary. Who gave the job? Who gave you ability to work? We forget all these things. And what will happen? 19th verse, next person. 8:19.
If you ever forget the Lord your God and follow other gods and worship and bow down to them, I testify against you today that you will surely be destroyed.
What God you will worship? Money God. Have you started worshipping it? Who is making all decisions now? Me or money? For whom you don't have time now? Which God has taken all the time?
Money God.
Ah. Why you are in the workplace? If there is no salary, will you be in the workplace? No, I want to serve people. There is no money, will you be there? എനിക്ക് ദൈവവിളിയില്ല അവിടെ. See, it's a trap. It's a trap. That's going to decide everything. That's going to decide. Are we bowing down before this and worshipping it? The Lord said, you will surely perish. You can see in your own lifetime, countries perishing. In the dollar, US dollar, what was written? Now in what they trust? In the dollar. In the dollar they trusted. What's happening now? The economy is crumbling down. Economy is crumbling down. Have we done that? Unless you give up the ownership, you cannot follow me. If you will not, you cannot. Previous verse also, if you will not, you cannot. Remember that? That's very clear. No ambiguity, no confusion. Vettu onne, tundu rendu. Clear. So don't have any confusion. Teaching is very clear. 27.
Whoever does not carry his own cross and come after me cannot be my disciple.
Now think of this. You have hated everyone. You have given up all your possessions. Now you carry a cross on your shoulder and go through Bangalore. What will all call you? From which mental hospital you came? Will they call you fool? Yes. What will happen to your status that you built up? The false self-image you build up must be given up if you want to follow him. The false self-image we build up, the artificial me, on the career, on the money, on the status symbol, all with which we build up our identity, that has to be given up. Otherwise you will not enter the kingdom. Now when the disciples heard this, they would have said the same sentence as the disciples said earlier. Matthew 19:25. You're reading.
Disciples heard this, they were greatly astonished and asked who they can be saved.
എങ്ങനായിരിക്കും ചോദിച്ചതറിയാമോ? എൻ്റെ ദൈവമേ, ഇങ്ങനെയൊക്കെയാണ് ആര് രക്ഷ പ്രാപിക്കും? Who will be saved then? If you make it so strict, how can we enter? ഒരു ദയവ് വേണ്ടേ? Should you not be kind enough? You make it so difficult for us. That is the time, this is the background in which the parables which we studied in the morning comes. Now you can read 14:28.
Suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Won't you first sit down and estimate the cost to see if you have enough money to complete it? For if you lay the foundation and are not able to finish it, everyone who sees it will ridicule you, saying, this person began to build and wasn't able to finish.
Now you understand what's the background? They are telling these conditions you have laid are impossible for man. How can it be? Then he says, this is a familiar thing for them. There is a vineyard and a man builds a tower inside to watch the birds, to throw stones at it, and also a wine press will be under it. This man would have been going to marketplace. He made a boast there. Boasting, what is it? I am going to build a big tower. How big? 20 feet. Usually they build 10 feet. Now it is 20 feet. Then he had a opening ceremony. Big foundation was laid, everything. Then he had no money. Nothing was going on. Grass was growing on the foundation. When he goes to marketplace, now everybody is asking, sir, what happened to your big project? 2 weeks later, he stopped going to marketplace because everybody will ask. This they knew. You said you'll follow me. You made a decision and you're stuck now. Everybody will ask, what happened to your decisions? What happened to your decisions? Eduthu jadi ennu paranjallo. What happened? Where are you now? Won't you sit down to see the cost that you have to pay? Then he gave another parable of a king. There were many tribal kings at that time there, small kings. Suppose one king had that somebody else insulted him. He called his army chief. Start! We'll go and thrash it. While he was going, he heard that he is coming with 20,000. He is having only 10,000. He said, where is the best horse? Where is the white flag? Run, run, run. It will be such a shame. Will he not sit before that and calculate? Before deciding to follow me, sit down and calculate the cost you have to pay. Otherwise, you'll all say, I want to follow, and stop on the way. And it will be such a disgrace for you. That's what he said. So, to bring this very clearly, he used an allegory now. 34, verse 34.
Therefore, salt is good, but if even salt has becomes tasteless, what will it be seasoned?
Okay. Salt is good. He is comparing it with decisions, commitments you make are good. Salt is good, decisions are good. Salt without saltiness is useless. So useless that it cannot be used even for this manure pile or compost or land. It has to be thrown out. This salt he is talking about is not the common salt we are using. Common salt will never lose its saltiness. This salt is deposits they cut out from the deposits. It will be with rock and other things. They dissolve this salt from that rock and take the salt, and then the piece will be there without salt. Salt has lost its saltiness. You would have taken one stone piece like this. Salt without saltiness. Can it be used for compost? Can it be used in the land? No. Shh. You would have thrown it. It can be stamped upon. It can be used for making roads. They all would have understood. Decisions without your willingness to pay the cost is useless. Decisions where you are unwilling to pay the cost are useless, like the salt without saltiness. What can it be used for? Throw it out. അതും പറഞ്ഞുകൊണ്ട് നടന്നിട്ട് എന്നാ കാര്യം? You are telling, I want to get married, but I don't want to have any problem in marriage. Then you can sit. I want to be a surgeon, but I cannot see blood. I will fall fainting and sit at home. I want to be a soldier, but bullets sound. No? Can you understand now? Salt is good, decisions are good. But salt without saltiness is useless. Decisions where you are unwilling to pay the cost is useless. Useless. Take it and throw it off. You can use that for singing songs. I have decided to follow Jesus. Paattu padanam. Now you may ask, what is the cost I have to pay? Is it 10,000 rupees per month? Oh, that I can pay. Is it walking up to Velanganni? That I can do. Is it standing upon the head for 4 days? That also can I do. No. What is the cost? It's nothing but my death on the cross. Accepting my death on the cross. If you will not deny yourself, take up the cross daily, you cannot follow me. Finished. You cannot follow. എൻ്റെ ദൈവമേ, ഇത് വലിയ പാടാണല്ലോ. What does cross mean? I have to give up my rights. Deny yourself means I have no more selfish right on me. Carry the cross means carry the reality of my death with me always. Lord, it is too much. So, Lord, it is too much. It's unbearable, very costly. Who can pay it? All these thoughts come in. I'll tell you a story. A man was walking along a small path. Suddenly he saw a thorn bush, one branch was jutting out. He was afraid whether it will hurt him. So he took another path. That path is full of thorns. His shirt is torn, body is torn, it is bleeding, but he is singing and going through that path. What do you call that man? Mad, fool. Yes? Mad and fool. All the sufferings in this world is because of following Christ and not following Christ. Eh? War, abortions, divorce, alcoholism, accidents, everything is because we follow Christ. Because which pain is more? Pain of following Christ or pain of not following Christ? We can sing songs and go through that and enjoy it and say it is not difficult. But the day somebody mentions follow Christ, one thorn will hurt me. What do you call yourself? Same word. What's that? Fool. Mad. Mad. Remember, 90% of the suffering in this world today is of not following Christ, not obeying God. The pain and suffering of following Christ is so little. I'll give you some examples. A married woman is afraid of having delivery pain. So she says, I don't want a child. Which pain is more, having a child or not having a child? Aha. Why the mother doesn't remember the pain of birth and delivery? Aha. Okay. Now, this exaggeration of the pain of following Christ is by the devil. When all the sufferings in this world is because of not following Christ, we enjoy it. But the day somebody mentions about following Christ, we get apprehensive. Oh. What's the suffering? Nothing. What does the Bible say? 2 Corinthians 4:17. Can you put it in two sides? The first part, second part. What's the first part? Pardon? Light and momentary suffering. One side. What is the other side? No, not only that. Far outweighing. When you read it, put your life into it and read it. Now at my home, I am building a big balance. Okay? And one balance I am keeping on one pan of the balance, I am keeping one big lorry. And the other side I am trying to keep a newspaper and weighing which is heavier. What will you tell me when I do that? Only tell. You'll say, what, Appa, you're a fool. Nobody will do that comparison. Will anybody compare a lorry with a paper? No. Sure? Are you sure? Read Romans 8:18.
Yet what we suffer now is nothing compared to the glory we will reveal in us.
Then why are we comparing? Eh? Read it again loud.
Yet what we suffer now
What we suffer now,
is
nothing compared to.
the glory He will reveal to us later.
Uh-huh. Boys and girls, we were once, or you were always like this? You were a small girl. Have you played with mud in childhood? Some of you would have not seen mud. Have you played with mud? What do you used to make? Many things. If one of your friends came and kicked it, what will you do? Team. Everything you would have done. Now you are playing with the mud. Your mother called and you turned back and mother was holding two jalebi in the hand. What did you do with the mud now? Tell. Wash it. Wash it. Then you are not played. What did you do? Threw off the mud, and while running, what did you do with the hand? A short sail scatter. The mud that you fought for is now rubbish for you. Why? You saw the jalebi. You saw the jalebi. Unless you see the jalebi, you will not leave the mud. You will fight for it. Luke 5 verse 11. Luke 5 verse 11.
So they put their boats up on shore, left everything behind.
Left what? What are they everything?
Ships and
Eh?
ships and land.
Boat, net, boat full of fish. They never caught fish like that. Height of their success. Then what else they left? What everything? Give the list. Eh? What else? Future security, relatives, friends, everything they left. Why? Did anyone ask them to leave it? Why did they leave it? Yes? They saw the glorious one. Rubbish fell from hand. Rubbish fell from hand. Paul writes, when I began to understand Jesus Christ, before that I was holding on to many things. Profession, background, achievement, success, everything. But when I began to see Jesus Christ, for the excellency of knowledge of my Lord Jesus Christ, I dropped everything as rubbish. Have you seen anything as rubbish? Because you saw Jesus Christ. And rubbish, usually we leave it, don't we? We don't pack and keep it in the lap. Did you leave anything? For the excellency of knowledge of my Lord Jesus Christ. I think we tend to live in theory. Suppose you invested here 10 years back in a piece of land, you invested say 5 lakhs. Now it brings only 5 crores. You are sitting and crying, my 5 lakh has gone down. 5 lakh words. Yes. For the glory that will be revealed, and do not consider it's worth comparing now. Then why are we talking about the suffering more and more? Because we are not seeing the glory. So you can pray, Lord, open my eyes that I will see what you have prepared for. It has to be revealed. But once you see that, nobody can stop you. Once you see that, nobody can stop. It's a progressive revelation also. In the beginning of my journey, if it is so beautiful, I'm wondering how it will be soon. The clarity one person has, the other person will not have. But the Bible calls all of us to that clarity. Pardon? To that clarity, to see everything clearly. To see no one but Jesus. So this is the cost you have to pay. This cost is exaggerated by the evil one compared to every other cost. This is nothing actually. Wrong exaggeration in the mind. What is the big suffering for some of you? Then after this I cannot watch TV. Persecution list you read from Hebrews 11:36 onwards.
Some faced jeers and flogging.
No, some faced jeers,
And flogging.
flogging,
And even
chains,
and
imprisonment,
They were put to death by stoning.
put to death by stoning.
They were sawed into two.
Okay, the list is going on. What is the first one?
Some faced jeers.
Jeers. Another translation? Mocking. That's the first one in persecution. Mocking. After that come flogging, cutting asunder, stoning, everything. Now, Christians are going to face, in India, the greatest suffering for them is mocking. அவன் சிரிப்பாண்டா என்ன பார்த்து தாங்க முடியாதுடா. அவன் என்ன நோக்கி அவங்க சிரிக்கும். ஐயோ சைக்கியம் வையா. After that only comes stoning. இதே தாங்க முடியாது அதுங்க வரப்போகுது. In other places they are just, children are just caught like this. The sword is kept like this. Deny Jesus Christ. Parents are telling don't deny in front of them. എന്നെ നോക്കി ചിരിക്കും. പിന്നെ ജീവിച്ചിട്ട് എന്നാ കാര്യം? That's the first level of persecution, brother. Unbearable. The story did not end there. Luke 14:21.
The servant came back and reported to his master. Then the owner of the house became angry and ordered his servant, "Go quickly to the streets and alleys of the town, bring the poor, the crippled, the blind, and the lame."
Who are the list? Who are
Poor,
crippled, blind,
and lame.
and lame. What do you call them together? Pardon? Handicapped, destitutes. Malayalam there is a word, tendigal. Tendi. Tamil enna vaartha? Paradesi. It's all lower than all this. That's the place. Now, who will beg? Who will beg? Who doesn't have anything? Suppose you are standing in Delhi railway station. You lost your purse, credit card, mobile, chain, everything. You have nothing. Will you beg? You will borrow money, you won't beg. You don't have anything, why you don't beg? Who will beg? Pardon? No pride left. Now I am inviting you, come to our hospital. I will admit you in special ward and do a surgery free of cost. Varno? Free pa, Variya. Special ward la. Doctor Siva. Now you came as tourist there, you developed abdominal pain. You came to the hospital. I examined you, said you need an emergency surgery. Doctor admit பண்ணுங்க. பெட்டே இல்லை தரையில் படுத்துக்கிறேன் டாக்டர். Why you came now?
Emergency.
There is no other way. If there is any other way, you won't come to hospital. Who will come to Jesus Christ? If there is no option. As long as you have any other alternate, you will not come to Jesus Christ. You will come for help. ഒരു ഹെൽപ്പ് ഒന്ന് ചെയ്തേക്കണേ. എല്ലാം മാനേജ് ചെയ്യാൻ ഇത് അവസാനത്തെ ഒന്ന് അങ്ങോട്ടൊന്ന് പൊക്കി വിടാൻ. No. Blessed are the poor in spirit. Theirs is the kingdom of God. That's the first teaching. What is this poverty? Your utter helplessness. There is nothing I can trust in. Brother, if you trust in anything else, you will only come to God for help. You won't trust yourself. God will bring us to that helplessness if you don't agree it now. Where do you catch the frog? In the house? Corner. Everywhere else it will jump.
Yes.
You will be brought to the corner one day. Then you will say, Kattave. Do you want to come to the corner? 9, verse 9. You read it yesterday, verse 9. So they came. Who are these people who came to the feast? Who are these people who came to feast? Please don't go and tell all the poor people will come to heaven. These are the people who have accepted their death on the cross. Who have accepted their death on the cross. Because entry into heaven, into His presence, is not by becoming poor. Is becoming by dying. By death only there is life. Only when you die there is life. Only when you come down you are exalted. It's all upside down in kingdom. So these are the people who have experienced the death on the cross. Do they have problem with possessions? Dead people? Status? Pleasing people? This is the cost you must be willing. If anyone is not willing to deny himself, take up the cross daily, you cannot follow me. This is a basic lesson. If this basic lesson is not learned, you cannot build on other teachings. Many of us want to avoid this basic lesson and progress with PhD. No. Now you heard this passage. Can you have a second look at this morning meditation now and write few responses? When you summarize, write about if there is struggle, there are questions, face that. Reality of life must be faced, not what you are going to do. If the passage is revealing something, encouraging, warning, correcting, showing something in your life, it's not very deeply personal. You can share it with one another.